Welcome back, everybody, to episode number 24 of Zero Access Footy. I'm once again joined by my good friend Behmmy, who we have had a fun weekend together. That sounds mad.
Major pause. Jesus Christ.
But we are excited to recap it and discuss it with everyone.
It's not that kind of podcast.
We're going to discuss it with everyone, how our weekend went. But that is the greatest intro we've ever had. I am excited to have a look through.
That's as good as our shared outro.
I know. Oh, that one was rough, but I get what you're saying. Round 21. Let's have a look at how our week went and a few things to talk about. I think a few more highlighted games. Obviously, one of the big talking points throughout the season has been games getting a bit boring now as we head towards the end of the season and we kind of wait for finals to kick in. But we have got ourselves to start off with probably the most unexpected result of the weekend. Dogs destroying the Giants by 88 points. Neither of us had it go this way. In fact, I think the only team that we expected to win in double digit, I guessed Dogs by 4.
Yep.
You said Giants by
15.
So 88 was not on any of our bingo cards.
Nope.
The comments on the short made sure to let us know that we're stupid, as they always do. God bless you for letting us know. But very big statement in a game against the top 8 side. I didn't expect them to turn a must win into a percentage booster. Not like they need it.
No. True. Not like that. Obviously, this is sort of impacted by the 3 outs of the Giants, Buckley, Green, and Kelly.
Yeah.
But, at the same time, there was just no fight in them. And, at halftime, you're thinking, maybe they'll do it again. You can't expect it. You can't be a premiership contender and expect to play a shit half of footy and then a great half of footy and actually win a flag based off of doing that. It's not how the league works, and it never has been. They just got absolutely demolished. Their midfield stood no chance whatsoever. Kieran Briggs was monstered, and he's been really disappointed. His back half of 2023, fantastic. Hasn't done shit fuck all since.
Yeah.
So, very disappointing in that aspect.
And we had mentioned the matchup from a perspective saying that this is the best matchup for the Giants possible when it comes to Sam Darcy having Sam Taylor out there.
Nope.
He kicked 5 and so did Norton. And I think they're the first duo in a long time to kick 5+ each in 2 straight games. That's 20 goals between each other.
Since Lance, Franklin, and Roughheader potentially in 2012 or something, Hawthorn.
A long time ago. Over a decade ago at this point. So a rare bit of form for them in a push that they really need to make. And that is the best possible way you can make that push.
100%. They need to make finals, and they got to win, and not many was expecting them to.
Exactly. Adelaide versus Hawthorn, though. Probably game of the round, maybe a tie.
I think so.
I'd say it's game of the round because it was a beautiful game of football. Skills from both sides.
I was not able to watch it, but I just kept checking the scores. Jesus Christ.
It was a game of momentum for sure. The River End got no love. It was literally, I think at one point it was 4 goals to the River End, 20 to the other end as well. So there was a clear scoring end.
Yeah.
I don't think that played into the momentum of the game. I don't think it was a scoring end per se, but I just think they managed to throw punches at the right time to kind of counteract each other. And they just working out, okay, we're seeing this problem, let's change it up. So honestly, from a coaching perspective, both sides seem to do pretty well. A few missed opportunities from the Hawks is probably what ruined them.
Speaking of coaching decisions, the 4 tools was one that had a lot of talk coming into it. Obviously, given we recorded beforehand, we had no idea that it was happening. Didn't really work. There was nothing really that said having 4 tools is going to make a difference. Against a tall Adelaide backline as well, when you've got not Butts wasn't there. I think it was Murray Keane, Worrell, and then Michelini, who wasn't there, but Hinge sort of plays as a medium.
Yeah.
You sort of can potentially go against because that's 3 genuine key defenders. Didn't work. Deer ended up getting subbed out. I thought probably the right decision, but at the same time, we talked about that previously. What is the 3 going to finish up with? Because it shouldn't be 4. Sam Mitchell said, no, I'm going to try it. Shouldn't be trying it with 4 weeks to go. And now they're on the outer for the finals because they have tried to do too much.
Technically, no, they aren't. They're 7th at the moment. But I get what you're saying in the sense that a lot of people expect them to be 9th. That's what and if all goes expected, next week they will be 9th.
Yeah.
So the Dogs are playing against the Demons. GWS, who
win.
are sitting 8th, they're playing against North.
Easy win.
And then Hawthorn have Collingwood.
Not
which,
easy win.
Obviously not easy, but with
It's
the form of
acceptable.
Collingwood,
Yeah.
there's an idea that maybe it could happen. You can see there on the left side of the screen, 23 goals 13 to 5 goals 7. So a big night for, I can't even remember the name of the end, but all I know is the right is the river end. The clear
hills.
scoring side of the night, although I don't know if it really was
It wouldn't have made
because
a
of the end of the
difference.
ground. Usually it hasn't been a factor. There was no wind to
No.
speak of as well. Pretty good conditions for a Friday night game. But with that being said, a really, really gutsy win from Adelaide. And Matthew Nix's stock continues to rise. I wanted to bring up footage of it, and in a segment we've got further on in this before we move on to the next game. Matthew Nix's coaching has been probably a pillar of modern coaching, right? Obviously, when you think back to past coaching, it's giving them the spray. Kingsley got
Ross
a lot
Lyon.
of Ross Lyon. Kingsley was given a lot of praise recently for giving them an almighty spray into the second half that saw them rise up. And
Dennis Pagan did it for you guys against the Bulldogs.
Exactly. Like, there's plenty of opportunities there to point out those old school sprays. But Matthew Nix, in a different way, has managed to build a trust within his side to let them know, hey, this is what works for us. Let's calm down. Let's play our game. That type of coaching, and when done well, right, not overusing the trope that Kingsley would have had to find himself in for the second week in a row of spraying his team to try and get something out of him. People had rightfully mentioned that doesn't work all the time. You can't just keep spraying your team at halftime to get something out of them. Matthew Nix's approach, much more understandable, keeping everyone level-headed, right? You're 30 points down, that's okay. First quarter, we know our best play can put us up over any team. So let's get back to what we're doing. And there's footage that I wish I'd found of him just being calm. His hand movements show everyone being like, relax, right? Let's not stress ourselves out. And the way they responded in the second quarter is really, really positive for Adelaide. Just knowing that they stuck with a guy who came in at probably one of their worst periods.
Arguably their worst since they came into the
And
comp.
he's managed to bring him to this point, and they trust him.
Yeah, and on that as well, if you're a player and you see your coach come in and they're almost shaking with how much anger, but like the rage inside them is boiling over, you're sort of like on edge as well. Whereas a coach comes in and they're calm and they're very present-minded, I think is the best way to describe it. You're like, okay, it's not as bad as it looks. Let's just get our game going. And that's exactly what they did. Because after the first quarter, they ended up winning by pretty much 45 points. Like, that was the gap in the game.
Yep.
So for Adelaide, it's a fantastic response. We've got some really impressive stats here as well that we can go through now too.
Yeah, they didn't put themselves over the edge.
No.
Right? They kept themselves together. Melbourne versus West Coast. Now, not much needs to be said. Melbourne needed a win like this just to let the rage out after last week. 83 points. Jai Cully Revenge Tour has begun. Perfect place to do it at your old club. There's not really much we can say to make West Coast happy. There's no outlier stats. Jamie Cripps had 2 goals. Good on him. Yep. Gold Coast versus Richmond, also very similar. What? Were you going to say something?
Swans defeated Bombers. No, I'm joking, saying it's the exact same thing.
Oh, okay. My mind is all over the place.
Yeah,
Gold Coast.
Bit of a late this morning, was it?
A lot of sleep, mate. I'm feeling good. Gold
You're
Coast.
feeling good after we had the day together yesterday.
Don't bring that up, man. Don't bring that up. Gold Coast, right? There's not too much to fault. Of course, the defence, it's got to be
Stood up.
firing on all cylinders when you're allowing 23 points. Obviously, scoring shots, on the other hand, you can maybe point that out. But 23 points, it's a great, output for when you're thinking about how many points you want the other team to put on the board.
We mentioned last week that the Suns look much better when it's just the 2 key forwards, and Jai Farah is the medium, your Pat Voss type. Again, worked this week. Ethan Reed's in some really good form. Probably his best game, I'd say, from what I've seen as well. It's against the Tigers, but at the same time, it's against Hardwick's former team, so maybe there's that edge
Bit
there.
of a grudge to it, yeah.
But yeah, for the Suns, just expected win. Sydney, also expected win, but not by the margin we expected.
Exactly. It's a bit concerning about how close this game was, especially considering that Grundy has been able to dominate.
Jesus Christ.
He's been really, really good over the last month to 2 months at this point, right? He's in All-Australian contention.
Mm-hmm.
But it's actually worrying to see how little Sydney thrive with that clear advantage in the midfield, right? I know the North one comes to my head because he had the 62 hit outs. It was the first week without Tristan Sherry, and you're like, all right, let's see how much Grundy can rack up here. But like, there were plenty of times where he tapped it and Sydney either did nothing with it or it went straight to North Melbourne. And it makes you think, what's the advantage that they're getting with Grundy? Obviously, you're not going to say, oh, we don't need Grundy because it's not working, right? You're going to take that advantage every time. But I think Sydney next season have to really wire the cogs up. And maybe this is something that Dean Cox has been aware of and working on. Yeah, that's right. In trying to figure out, all right, here's our starting block. We've got a fantastic starting block, one of, if not the best this season. Next season, can we use that in a way that clears it, gets us back to our 2024 form?
Everything that happens in the next 3 weeks should just be preparing for next year. See what you can get. Obviously, they're going to have an academy play in this year's draft. See what else you can get to sort of support those core players. They need another backup for Grundy because the form he's had so far is because he wasn't great to start the year. So clearly he just needs some extra support. Peter Adams probably isn't quite cutting it. And then their keys as well is a huge thing. What else have you got on the list? Obviously, Bull has played a fair few games and these look pretty decent.
Bull had a beautiful. He only had the one goal, but he had a beautiful goal. It was in the pocket. Yeah. Oh my God, he sliced it though.
He strikes the ball fantastically. Yeah. So maybe that seems like they've got to find someone, a left-footed key forward. There's 2 on the market at the moment. There's just a lot of things that are saying next year's going to be our year that we target.
Definitely. On the Essendon side, though, they have now officially broken the record for the most debutants in a season.
14?
Excluding expansion sides. So I guess congratulations to Essendon. Well done, guys. You really smashed it.
You guys are sitting 15th.
Look, it's been a rough year for them. That's all we could say.
Yep.
Then, second best game of the round. Not as close a game, but... lots of storytelling to go with this one. I've just written here fraud watch big time for Collingwood.
Yeah.
I mean, am I wrong?
This was such a good game to go watch. I'm like, I'm a Saints fan. My best mate's a Carlton fan. He went wearing a Gold Coast scarf. I went wearing a Saints scarf.
It's dumb.
He was so happy that he got to film all the Collingwood fans leave early. He was over the moon. Oh, it was so good to watch. It was so good to watch.
I'd imagine so. When a Collingwood loses, Australia wins is often the term I hear. But you have been very, very on the idea of this man, and the talk has been getting louder and louder from the mainstream of it, mainstream discussion. Dan Houston.
Yep.
His poor form this year.
System player.
Yeah, could. It's showing more and more at least, which is strange because Collingwood's system, we were praising it, and I still think there's a lot to praise about Collingwood's system considering
100.
how good they've been, but it just doesn't work for Houston.
There's a system that works to win games, and there's a system that works to enhance players' reputation. And in terms of being able to utilize a player properly, Collingwood isn't necessarily ideal for a player like Dan Houston. Great kicker. Great running off of half-back, doesn't want to get up into the midfield, isn't great on the defensive end. Still good, and it's enough to keep him into All-Australian contention, but not to the point where he's a complete liability either. For him, in a team that's like Collingwood, where you're running so much and you're handballing and you're using a lot of that, and it's long down the line kicks rather than being straight line and finding all those 45-degree angles, it just isn't to his best ability. And when you're not really playing around with his position either, and then you've got Josh Dacos starring off of halfback, and then when Nick Dacos is sort of slowly misfiring in the midfield, he goes to halfback, obviously you're not going to be utilised to your full extent. And so whether he should be dropped is not up to me. It's up to Craig McRae, his tough decisions. But he's not in the form that you would have expected, and clearly it was an overpay. They didn't even pay a lot for him, but it still looks like an overpay. So for Collingwood, they've brought in a lot to try and get him. A lot. Thanks for that, producer. I know you're fixing the cameras. I'm just taking them out of here. For them, they obviously tried to bring in Bobby Hill and DeGoey. I thought DeGoey was fine, but neither of them really worked. Hill kicked the one goal, but aside from that was very, very quiet, which you sort of expect first game back.
Yeah.
But they've invested a lot into this current team, and they need to be within the next 2 or 3 years making a grand final. And with the form they're in, they've lost 3 or 4, all against top 8 teams, which is fine. But there's a lot of concerns with how they are playing, more so than just the results.
Exactly. On Brisbane's side,
Jesus.
a few massive ones. Josh Dunkley, not just outside of the disposals, right? He's always that tackler, that man that gets in and under, but he was getting his hands on the ball. I think he had 30 plus at least in terms of disposals. Lockie Neal had 36, which again, that's not guaranteed with Lockie Neal. So fantastic showing from him. And then Logan Morris just knows when to arrive.
He's so good. And it's a concern for Collingwood with this as well. If Howe's not being able to get back, I mentioned Voss earlier. He kicked 6 against Collingwood. Morris has now kicked 7. Is this a concern for them, their key position stocks?
Yeah, so there's a lot to be worried about, I think, if you are a Collingwood fan. But
and on
there's anyone to beat it and anyone to fix it up.
Yeah, and on Brisbane's pressure, GWS coined the Orange Tsunami. I'm calling it the Brisbane Hurricane. It just comes at you from all areas, and you are just so unprepared for it. You just cannot deal with. Every time Collingwood tried to get a handball, there's just a Brisbane player who gets a hand in, and then they're able to turn over, and there's 5 or 6 players that just run and go forward, and it is unstoppable.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Now, the big one. This is obviously, if you haven't seen the video yesterday, hopefully it came out yesterday.
Yeah.
The vlog that we did. This was the first official ZAF Cup. So if you are unaware, I'm a North Melbourne fan, and Behm here is a St Kilda fan. We went to the game together. I sat in the Saints membership bay, and there's a lot. There's a lot
experience, I hope.
Yeah, no, it was fun.
Yeah.
I tell you what, everyone was very nice.
Yay.
And maybe because I wasn't too much of a prick.
Nah,
but
definitely not.
Like, people came up to me. I looked sad after the game, and they're like, "It's all right, it's okay." Oh, it was quite funny, but just the one thing I said to you after the game, Naz really is all that this team has in terms of consistently good play.
Yeah.
He is the only one.
Yep.
I knew our skills were going to be bad, but then watching some of your players' skills in person, I'm like, man, that's rough. I got to see the Ryan Burns treatment. Zach Jones had like one thing. I think he had a fresh area on a punch, and that was about it.
Yeah.
So Zach Jones, I don't think, did too bad.
Cooper Sharman's punched to Max Heath, who then kicked it down the full. That was just ironic.
God. And then what was it? Mason Wood getting the mark in the corner, and then just skying. Yeah. Just that was such a St Kilda North game with the way that their seasons are going. Look at that photo. That was my live reaction. If you want to see that in person, if you want to see in person is not the right word. If you want to see that, go and check out that video because
definitely.
We went through all the emotions, all the possible emotions. But all I can say for my team is I hate my dad for giving me this team to support, and I get more joy out of pissing myself. Geelong versus Port Adelaide.
Right idea.
Port Adelaide, they had to make the late out of Connor Rozee, which definitely hurts because he's just a general halfback.
Yeah, also heard Butters could have been a laid out, but wasn't.
Yes, I know. I did notice that he was quite low in the disposal count. Like, that's very strange.
Got tagged by Mullen, who's been very good for them.
Yeah, so the game plan was just perfect for Port, for Geelong against Port. The players that they needed to worry about ended up not playing, and the ones who did play were already struggling.
Yeah.
So it was very, very stacked against them.
I think the only thing people really cared about in this game was the Jezza ton watch, and we will talk about that later because
we are
a good segment.
So on Jezza watch right now. We are so on. I'm so excited for that. Now, the final game, Fremantle-Carlton, which was a little surprising.
I did say it was a danger game.
It did, and I'm surprised it ended up being dangerous. The final score doesn't tell the full story because they only got that lead in the last quarter.
Yes.
They were leading going into three-quarter time, Carlton. So very, very exciting for Carlton fans to have a little bit of hope in that small bit of time, but just unfortunately, a team like Fremantle, who are trying to really cement themselves as a contender this season, aren't going to let games like that slip away, and they did not. They are currently, since round 10,
the best team.
Have the most wins at 10. The best team so far since round 10. But leaving it to the last quarter against Carlton is a bit of a worrying sign.
And so is Hayden Young having an injury.
Yep.
He had a groin injury, hasn't had a crack at it all year, basically. Got two weeks in a row, and one of them being a sub. Won a showdown medal. and then not showdown medal, the Derby medal,
Yeah.
and then hurts his groin, and Fremantle won't be able to win any final without him playing.
Yeah, he
Even
plays
if
a
you-
massive role because you're relying on an older Nat Fife
Yeah.
as your backup.
Yeah, and the positional flexibility he brings. Flexibility is such a crucial key for every team. Geelong are the most obvious with it, with how they play around with player roles, but even slight changes can affect the team, and he is the one where chuck him halfback, chuck him midfield, chuck him forward, and it just changes the complexion of this team completely. And for him to miss out now for what could be the rest of the year is going to hurt them so much.
Yeah, my final point on this game, I guess on the Carlton side, is there are positives to take out of it. Paddy Cripps and George Hewitt were fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Biggest outlier, though, Francis Evans was their leading goal kicker with 2. And this was a team that had Harry Mackay in there. They had Harry Mackay.
He's gone.
Yeah, he's not got long left anyways.
No.
But that's a clear problem.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that they could potentially lose Charlie Curnow
Yep.
and Harry Mackay,
Yep.
it just spells disaster.
And Jack Silvagni.
And Tom de Koning.
Yep.
It just spells disaster. It really does. So I'm very worried for Carlton.
Mm-hmm.
Not too much, but from a neutral perspective,
Yes.
it really does not look good for Carlton next season.
Yep.
It really doesn't. But that is the round 21 review overall. So now we move to Macca's Man of the Week. Of course, the 3-vote system sticks in. And this one's a little interesting this week because I've got 2 players from the same team. It was hard to really find
Interesting.
exact outliers in games that I thought were impactful enough. So I kind of lowered it to the games that meant the most this week because there were no like historic games, right? I gave Jezza a game. I gave Jezza votes last week because 11 goals, right? It doesn't matter if you're playing North. It's 11 goals. It's fantastic. Nothing like that this week. No 40 disposal games either.
Yeah.
So 1 vote goes to Lockie Neal. Fantastic game from him. Loads of clearance. I think I finished with 12 clearances, which was a game high. And overall, like, just played out of his skin in a moment that they needed to.
Yep.
Second, Jordan Dawson. If there was an outlier at this week, it was him because of the fact that he stood up exactly when they needed him to. 2 goals in quick succession in that second quarter to bring them back into that game when he hasn't kicked, I think to that point, coming into the game, he had kicked 14 for the season. Kicking 2 quickly like that is fantastic, and it just shows you the versatility of this Adelaide side. And it's all led by one of the best captains in the league. Mm-hmm. And then 3 votes. I think I've done it to him before. I'm giving it to Logan Morris.
Yeah.
Again, it's the moment, it's the stage in which he's done it. 6 goals against a Collingwood side at the MCG.
Did Pat Voss get the 3 votes? He must have, surely.
I think he could have. I think he would
Pat
have
Voss got the 3 votes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So this is a second time where we've given 3 votes to a bloke who's kicked 6 against Collingwood at the MCG.
You're not happy about that, producer?
I can't be like, I can't say that's wrong. I can't say that's
No.
bad because he absolutely deserves it. It's again, it's
100%.
not easy to do, despite the fact that Collingwood have lost Jeremy Howe for the moment, and they are a bit depleted. Right, the structure of Collingwood and the way they are set up prevents you from getting it inside 50 all that often, but Brisbane did it. Brisbane smashed it. So, honestly, it could have been 3 straight Brisbane blokes. It could have been Neil.
I thought Harris Andrews was fantastic.
Exactly. It could have been Neil. I was going to say Dunkley as well. Neil Dunkley. Morris. It could have been Neil Harris. Morris. It could have been
Neil
Dunkley.
Patrick Harris.
I'm having a stroke here. Nonetheless, those are my 3 votes, and that's my Macca's Man of the Week. And then Macca's Donkey of the Week.
Let's hear it.
I'm saying it because I feel like I can. I found out this week, and I messaged you boys about it, Noah Balta has been let out of Victoria. Am I missing someone? Like,
Since
really?
when?
He played against Gold
played?
Coast. He played against Gold Coast. Yeah, this is live reaction. He played against Gold Coast at Gold Coast. I literally messaged the chat, and producer Ethan goes, yeah, his restriction got lifted early. What?
Yeah, it was about, 2 weeks ago now? The story at least came out.
I
don't know when
did not
exactly
see it.
happened,
I
but yeah.
haven't
I
heard
did not
anything or
remember
any
it.
reporting.
I had heard nothing about it. And I saw him. I'm like, what the hell? Why is he playing? He taken a mark on the 50, I think somewhere in the second half. I'm like, oh, very interesting. First thing it is, spray it right out the full. I'm like,
Don't hit the bloke in the crowd, mate.
That's my go. But I've given him Donkey of the Week because
Good.
like until he gives me a reason not to, until he shows me genuine change.
Yeah.
And sure, maybe you can say because he's been let off early, maybe he's making a change, but that's not enough for me. So my Donkey of the Week, Noah Balta. Enjoy your trip on the Gold Coast, man.
Deserved.
Yeah, fantastic.
Maybe
All right.
CT. I
Let's get
think
to Behmmy.
maybe not.
Oh, yes. No, here we go. Was that the
Yeah.
thing?
That was meant to be the slide.
Yeah, fair enough. We got through it a bit quickly.
Maybe CT.
Behmy's Tribunal tasks returns once
Starting
again.
off hot, Toby Nankervis, umpire contact, a big talking point. Interesting one, to be honest. He
Funny.
just literally just clashes into the umpire. Umpire doesn't really get out the way. You can see him sort of like fumble. The only concern I have with this one is it's not really like a bump. He then continues to push him underneath Wits. So it's sort of like a big OH&S safety factor because he's quite literally put him in danger and he's forced Wits to fall over. He didn't get a fine, didn't get a suspension either. I'm kind of confused as to what way to go with this one because it's not the typical, trip over your foot or you brush past him. The umpire just doesn't really get out of the way. But I still think it's on Nankervis in some aspect to be able to be aware of the umpire in that situation.
I guess so, but that's also under the idea that the umpire has absolutely no job to get out of the way.
No, 100%.
I think you would be on to a point if the umpires hadn't been making it so clear. All right, guys, we're going out this way. We're going out straight behind us. And he bounces the ball. I think he must have lost his balance.
He did.
Because he didn't move after he bounced the ball.
You can see him take that extra half step with his right foot.
Yeah, he's got a jump step, so he stays right there. So it's just a bad bounce that's caused him to stay still. And I can't blame Nankervis for hitting him either. Again, my contention, you had said it wasn't in the circle. I'm like, if it wasn't in the circle, then yeah, sure, I'd maybe, because then it would have been he had to chase him out of the circle. And there's a good chance they would have just called it up anyways. They would have known that. So I didn't believe that it was out of the circle.
Yeah, I thought it was, and it wasn't. Clearly, so I was wrong in that aspect.
Yeah, Nankervis, he's got his eyes on the ball. It's a football play. And sure, you could make the same excuse for all the other umpire contacts. They're not going for the umpire. They're going for the ball. But this is a certain situation where it's like the umpire has basically said all season, we're going this way.
Yeah.
So when they haven't, it's like,
yeah,
are you really going to punish him for that?
It's a really tough one. And I think no fine is probably the right call. The only issue is he has pushed him again. Like, there's that initial contact, and then he proceeds to push him.
Yeah.
That's my only concern.
Yeah, that could be a case. I think it's just him balancing himself out at that point. He's bumped himself over, so he's just used him as a bit of a push to get himself back up so he can get back into the contest. But yeah, it's a bit of a calamity there. Definitely a bit wild. Nothing we've seen yet this year. I was just worried if they had fined him for it. Like, what kind of precedent does that set?
Yeah.
Does it set a precedent? How often? This doesn't happen very often, but like, it really means even if the umpire is at fault, you can still be punished.
Yeah.
And I think that would be very unfair.
Yeah, fair enough. This is Tom Stewart bump. Very, very similar to the Maynard on Brayshaw's.
That's always the go-to.
Very, very similar. I was of the belief that on that one, Maynard should have been let go, as he was. There shouldn't have been no suspension. Football action, goes to protect himself. Tom Stewart does the exact same thing. This one should be cleared, and I don't believe has been cleared because we're recording this before it gets released on the Monday. This should be all good. There is nothing Tom Stewart can do after this. What I talked about in the Brayshaw and Maynard incident is that after Brayshaw kicks it, he fades into the path, and that's where Maynard's going. There's nothing he can do. This one, Wines goes to sort of protect himself by ducking to almost avoid the contact, and that pretty much protects himself. Like, it removes any chance for his head to be hit. There is some sort of aspect where there could be some spinal damage or neck damage. However, I don't see too much of an issue with this one because Football Act can't really do much. He's going to protect himself, which is his first priority. There's a duty of care aspect, but then there's also the protect yourself aspect.
Sorry. I am having an absolute mare of an episode here, but
Yeah.
we'll move on to the
last
Curtis
one.
strike that
Yeah.
we saw live. technically didn't because we didn't even notice that it happened.
Yeah, we had no idea.
But this was at the very end of the first quarter after Larky had kicked a goal. And it's just a silly decision from
Really
Curtis.
dumb.
Frustrates the hell out of me because Curtis has been one of our best this season. And he
Yeah.
just... Last one, the last 3-week suspension that he had was completely...
Bullshit.
I felt unjust. It was a very tough one.
Mm-hmm.
This was just all he's doing, though.
Yep. So looking to grade it, obviously it hasn't been released. Games were on Sunday. Intentional because he's gone to strike him. It's borderline high contact because he's hit him right on the middle of the throat, which I think it classifies as high contact. So it's intentional high. It is at the minimum medium impact and at the worst high, which I believe goes from 3 to 4 weeks. So it's either a 3 or 4 week suspension. There's no reason to do this. You're not doing anything. You're not looking tough. You're not looking smart. And so get this out of the game. There is no reason to strike a play like this.
Yeah.
And they were looking at potentially, I heard Greg Swan potentially looking at suspending players for doing the push or like the open hand push into players' stomachs. Obviously, Wintega got fined for that and before against Dacos, protected species, and then no one else got fined for it since. They're now looking to do that as a suspendable action, I believe.
Suspendable is crazy.
Is an action you don't want in the game.
Fair
It's
enough,
not a
I
football
guess.
action. This is not a football action. It's intentional. It's high. Gets probably graded as medium, so I think 3 weeks.
Like I've said all year, when it comes to stuff like this, it's like, sure, you could argue that it's accidental, or you could say that the intention wasn't to get him high, but you hit him high. Doesn't matter if you are so uncontrollable that you accidentally knock someone out, right? If you make that decision to do so, if you hit him high, you got to face the punishment. And this is as clear as day as it gets when we saw the footage. It's like, yeah, that's bad.
The next one was on the Friday night game where Sam Berry does a sling tackle. There are a couple of weird calls in this one during tackles where this one, obviously, Berry does a sling tackle, was paid as a free kick, wasn't given a fine, wasn't given a suspension. The clear thing with sling tackles is there's got to be two actions. You've got to have the argument of the holding the arm free kick, well, not free kick, of the decision where does the player have the ability to stop themselves? But at the same time, when we're talking about how you pay a free kick for holding the ball in the tackle, if you've got an arm free, you've got to get rid of it. So in Will Day's mind, he's like, okay, I'm being tackled. How am I getting rid of this ball? I need to have both hands to get rid of it. The argument is, in that case, there is two clear actions, in my opinion. I can see two clear actions where there's initial rotation and then there's that extra 90-degree turn that gets Will Day to the floor. And he's not concussed. He obviously is missing the rest of the season due to another injury. But I think that there is two actions, and that action in and of itself is dangerous.
So,
I think there is the argument that it's careless, medium to high impact, and high contact. Because I don't like that action. I don't like that extra little bit that he caused to get him to ground. I don't think that should be in the game.
is your argument that they should be proactive with this
Yes.
and let them know to not get this type of tackle going and to really kind of slow down the amount of those extra actions in the tackle? Because, obviously, his aim is to bring him to ground. His aim is to stop him from getting the ball out, or maybe just a stoppage or holding the ball, whatever it may be. That extra fling, I think you mentioned that 90-degree turn to kind of fling them from one side, court away, or whatever it may be. That little action, is that what you want him to stop doing?
So there's the initial turn here where he gets him facing. He does a 180. So Will Day's facing that way. He gets him to face that way. That's fine. What he then proceeds to do is he slings him to the ground and he's eventually facing that way. And that is the action that should not be there because it is unnecessary. And that is what is excessive in the second action. You see that extra little bit that is not necessary. And part of it is the umpire where it could be holding the ball given he's got arms free and is already being tackled. But I just think that if you want to be progressive in this and get in front of it, this is an action that shouldn't be here. I understand the difficulty of it because he's got his hands free and he can brace himself. But at the same time, the action is what starts it. And putting the blame on the player for a tackle he did not commit, I think is a bit unfair.
That's completely fair. with that being said, though, that is Behmy's tribunal tasks.
Yeah.
Nothing too crazy or outlandish, but
Bit of a quiet
at the
week.
same time, it is still nice, especially if we want to get on top of some of the things. I think it's
Yes.
nice to keep on top of
Yes.
that stuff. So, next, I want to get into something that I thought about talking about last week, but I held off and said, if this week goes well, which I thought would be, we'd bring it up. And
Yep.
we talked about it a lot in the preview, so I will keep it to mainly the headliners, right? The main, big things that are really catching my eye when it comes to this Adelaide side, because originally the start of the year talk was their forward line, and that is delivered on all sorts.
Yep.
They currently have Thilthorpe at 48, Fogarty at 36, Tex at 34, Keys at 31, and Rankin at 29. So there's nearly 5 blokes with 30 goals. So obviously one of the highest outputs for the season, if not the highest output. They are just below Geelong and the Dogs, which is fair. They've got some pretty good and crazy players in that team. So obviously you think Western Bulldogs, they've had Norton Flying and Sam Darcy's revelation. And then, of course, Geelong Cats with the Coleman medalists. They've been fantastic. So while they haven't got the highest amount scored, it's a clear sign that they've got so many avenues to go to, this team. They've got small forwards, they've got tall forwards, and they're all firing. This is really good for them. They have a defense that has been started off underrated, very underrated. And your sake, one of these players in here that we are going to mention is someone you have talked about as an All-Australian smoky to begin the year. This is Josh Worrell. We'll talk about Mark Keane first because he's probably their main one-on-one defender.
He is.
He's currently third out of the entire league, or fifth even for the entire league in defensive one-on-one matchups. So he's had 55 attempts at a one-on-one with 16 losses.
Yep.
So 29%, which is about average. But when you've got that much coming your way, average is not too bad. You can live with that. It's more Josh Worrell that you want to point out here because he's had 36 defensive one-on-ones to 6 losses. 16%, 16.7% is his, win-to-loss ratio for those gamers out there. I'm so hip. But the point is, Josh Worrell has been fantastic this year. Few little shaky moments in his game against Hawthorn. I'm trying to push it forward, mate. I'm trying to get through, all right? But Josh Worrell has been a fantastic little part of their defense. And then that's without mentioning the likes of Mitch Hinge, who has continued to get better, been a bit shaky, but been all right, done enough. Nick Murray, who's done his job when necessary.
He's been fantastic.
Yeah, Max Michaelaney, who has been good when he's been playing. He's been completely fine. And then from there, you move into the midfield group. And the funny thing is about this midfield group, there's only one name that flies off the page when you look at them. Jordan Dawson. And
Rankin
he's
spent
not
time there, but he's become more of a forward at the moment.
Exactly. Jordan Dawson has been one of those players who's always effective, right, with his kicks. He gets most of his fantasy points, the reason people pick him in those teams, with his ball pressure. He's lots of tackles, can take contested marks, took some fantastic ones against this Hawthorn side. And then his leadership and hard-nosed play has really made it so that everyone else in the midfield, they can get their licks in too. So Saligo, a couple of weeks ago, had 35 disposals. Fantastic from him. Sam Berry, who we just mentioned with the tackle before, he has been one that's also been effective. Then the likes of Rankin, who's come from the forward occasionally to stick in the midfield, not so much as of recent, but still gets in there. James Peatling was one that really impressed me as well.
It all stems from Rob. Riley O'Brien. The season he's had has been fantastic.
He has been very
midfield.
underrated.
Yeah, he's been one. I could name so many stats though. They're got the most contested possessions and contested marks, which shows their dominance in the game and physically, which we saw their pressure was fantastic in the showdown. They have the most intercept possessions and intercept marks, so clearly they're able to force turnovers and then they score from it as well. They have the most ground ball gets, most post clearance contested possessions, most clearance ground ball gets on top of that. So they're an extremely physical team. You look at that midfield, as you mentioned, Berry, Peatling, they're hard nuts, and it is so tough to stop them when you have that class as well on the outside, in your Dawson, in your Rankin, in your Saligo. It's a really well-balanced team, and they're just firing on all cylinders at the moment.
And that's the word that I was going to use because this team is not just dominant, balanced. That is the big thing with this team because so many people have had their eyes on that forward line, including myself, throughout the start of the season. It was like, that forward line is fantastic. I don't know what the others are going to do, but that forward line, fantastic stuff. They've delivered, but then everyone else has too. And that's really a credit, not just to the players out there, but to the coach himself, Matthew Nicks, who has taken this team from the doldrums of the 2017 grand final and post that period to where they're at now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's most highlighted, again, I mentioned the clip before, with his coaching style. He seems to be a very humble but also very smart coach who has the trust of his team to work out and calm the nerves of everyone. I just talk about his coaching a lot more at the moment because it was really, really eye-opening to me watching how we've been talking up, and it's always the spray that gets the headlines. It's like he really gave him one to pump him up the butt and tell him, hey, let's go out and win this game. He just said, guys, this just isn't how we play. We know how we play. Let's work out where we can get better. You know, he probably would have said a few things that he had found on the boards that'll be like, all right, we're losing in this certain category. Let's fix this up, and then we'll be able to play our game. And it showed in wonders in that second quarter. So Matthew Nicks' style has been getting more and more highlighted. And it's fantastic because he is, I think, the perfect coach to have for this much talent. He doesn't tell them what to do. He knows he's not got the knowledge to tell them, hey, Tex, I know you've been playing for the 100+ games, but you should play this way. He knows where they work well, and he gets them all to connect. He's this master, I think, when it comes to working, I wouldn't even say with egos, but with talent. And I really, really think he deserves a lot of credit for the way he's been going.
You mentioned forwards before. We are going to the best forward in the league at the moment, Jeremy Cameron.
Balance is good, but 100 goals is better, baby. I am so excited for this one. Jeremy Cameron is on track. Do we want to say on track?
Not yet.
Yeah.
Because on track would mean he's averaging what he would need to get to be able to get there.
Yeah, definitely not.
25 goals in 3 games for the home and away season ton, up against Richmond in the final round, Sydney in round 23.
At the SAG.
And Essendon this week. Obviously, this is the comparison between Buddy's 2008 100-goal campaign, which was the final, the most recent 100-goal campaign. And you can just see Buddy started off like an absolute god. Obviously, Jez is now on the 75. Buddy's was better because A, there were less games, and B, he definitively did it in the regular season.
Absolutely.
But up against Essendon this week, kicked 11 2 weeks ago against North Melbourne. We know the issues Essendon have right now with their defensive issues. Also, this Buddy 2008 season against Carlton in the final round.
The best game of all time. I loved
Finished
it.
on 99.
Oh, Brendan, so if you don't know, Brendan Favola and Lance Franklin, the whole storyline going into it was the shootout. Everyone was so certain that Buddy was going to get to 100. It was 2 goals away.
Something like that.
He was basically a normal, a below average night for him.
Yeah.
Was that many goals away from reaching 100. So he got there in the first quarter. The kick to Surioli, everyone knows that. The whole crowd runs the field. Fantastic scene. But Fev needed 8. He had 92 going into that game. And he got so close. 7 goals in that game. And with the way it's going, we may see that, but not in as devastating form because Carlton, I think, missed the finals.
They did. They had nothing to play
So
for. They ended up getting the number 1
had
pick.
99 and couldn't do anything about it. The hope for Cameron is that even if he doesn't get to 100 in the regular season, he can still get to the finals. But that's where it gets contentious.
Yeah, there's been a lot of talk of whether it should count if he makes finals and does it in the final. It doesn't matter. He kicks 100 goals. We should love it.
I'm running the field.
It'd be great if he does it on grand final day. The scenes of the security trying to stop 100,000 people trying to run on the ground would be brilliant. But there's a game we're looking for because it's Essendon this week, right?
Essendon this week.
We know the key defensive issues they have. If he gets to, let's say, 10 again, that's 15 in 2 games. He's got Sydney, let's say he kicks 5, which is about his season average. He'd need 10 again against Richmond in the final round at the MCG.
Yep.
Tickets for that game, which have not been released yet, could go ballistic.
Yeah, especially level 1. Closest access possible.
Oh my God, imagine the MCC. Imagine it was against Melbourne and it was the MCC Melbourne fans trying to run onto the field and there's just 30K fans just in dress up in suits. That would be funny.
But it does bring me to kind of bring us back to reality because at the end of the day, you're asking for him to average just a little bit over 8 goals.
8.33.
Yeah, 3 recurring.
Yeah,
Yeah. I get the point, right? But going into the North Melbourne game, his career high was 9.
Was it only 9?
It was only 9.
Wow.
So he beat his career high by 2, obviously.
Yeah.
But you'd think circumstantial, he could hit 9, even 10 a couple of times here. Because they've got their season wrapped. They're probably going to be top 4. It could be a case of let's get the win first and then let's start feeding Jez. We can get him there. And obviously Jeremy is good enough to, even at their regular play, to kick many goals. So,
I didn't like it against the Saints when he kept running around the back to get the goals. That was clearly stat padding.
well, the thing is, Cameron,
Do it now. Do it now.
Cameron is prone to stat padding.
Yeah,
2019 or 18 Coleman race.
2019.
Yep. Ben Brown and Jeremy Cameron.
Mhm.
I remember it because it hurt
Was that
me.
against Gold Coast?
Gold Coast.
Yes.
He knew how many he
Yeah.
needed going into the game to get the Coleman, and because they were up against Gold Coast, GWS fed him, and he got to 9 that game and won the Coleman. So that goes to show Jeremy Cameron is a little bit of a stat pad, but
Mitch Georgiades is going to win the goal.
Georgiades going to kick 20 in 3 straight.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's clear as day that he's got the Coleman all wrapped up for himself. So it's just going to be a really exciting period of time.
Yeah.
Let's just enjoy it. If he gets there, that's awesome.
Exactly.
If he doesn't, it's unfortunate. But I know we're going to be cheering him on. A lot of people will be. And
sure.
hopefully we'll see a bunch of people there on the MCG against Richmond when he kicks his 100th goal.
Let's
That's
hope.
the expected time. It feels like the minimum he can get to. Like, he can't get it any earlier. It has to be that last round. So, away from the excitement of on the field, let's go off the field. This has been a little bit of a story that's popped up in regards to Jack Silvagni.
Yeah.
So he has been, I wouldn't say he specifically has been in controversy because he hasn't done really anything
No, it's not him.
wrong. This is just normal free agency contract talk.
Yeah.
But what was interesting was the way that Craig McRae had gone about it, because a few of the quotes went a bit viral. I'd say viral because at the end of the day, a lot of people were talking about it. The media caught onto it. So Craig McRae had chatted to the media in regards to whether they had discussed Silvagni's future and whether it was at Icon Park or whether it was at Collingwood. And then McRae was surprisingly vocal and almost confident about the way that he spoke about his discussion with Jack Silvagni. Some of the quotes saying, yeah, I did meet with Silvagni and Justin Lepich and Charlie Gardner do those
just
things.
met with the young man.
Yeah, I just met with a young man. We had a first date and see if we liked each other. I could go on a second date with Jack. It's a very weird way of going, but that's I feel like that's kind of how Craig McRae goes about it.
It is Craig.
It feels very Craig McRae-ish. So,
I do also have the belief that he's meeting with the Bulldogs as well.
yeah.
So
Okay.
there's that as well,
And-
not just the Pies.
So with that being said, it sounds all fun and games until you look at the way Voss responded to it.
Yeah.
He goes, I can't speak to how other coaches will go about that, but what I can say is how we would go about it. And I guess in that instance, we choose not to make that sort of announcement. I don't feel that's our role to do that. So I think in a very professional way, he has said, I don't like the way you're going about it. I feel like this is a bit of a mistrust in the sense of, this is all business. And to make it clear, Voss knew about this meeting happening and this date per se in Craig McRae's voice. In Craig McRae's words, Voss knew that this was happening. So everything was cool, everything was fine. But the way he went about it, almost bragging about the fact that he's met with Silvagni, it's almost made it feel, I guess, unclear to Voss as to how Craig McRae is going about this and whether he's being a bit, leechy about it. I don't want to put words in Voss's mouth. I'm not the type to try and stir up drama. I hate that stuff. But this has been words from Voss's mouth. It's clear he's very unsure about the way that Craig McRae has gone about this. So it makes me think, do we have to stop? Do coaches have to hold themselves back a little bit when it comes to that discussion? I know that they have to do it so much, and there's nothing wrong with having a bit of fun and shit talking a bit regarding like how you chat to players in regular business deals. But
We've got such an obvious comparison, and that was the Oscar Allen to Sam Mitchell one.
Oh, yeah.
That happened earlier in the year. You look at the backlash from that. Oscar Allen was almost murdered by West Coast Eagles fans. And he's obviously highly regarded among them. The Silvagni name amongst Carlton fans is arguably more highly regarded.
Yeah, 100%.
Right? With the family history and the ties to that club. The fact that this is seen as like a positive thing and made fun of when that was seen as like such a serious thing and that Allen's already given up on the West Coast club. I'm so confused as to the talk about this in comparison.
Yeah.
Because it's the exact same situation. A key position player has gone to meet with an opposition coach. I understand that there was expected to meet without, obviously, the rush decision. But
that's all normal stuff, but it's the way that McRae went about it and almost like joyfully telling everyone that Silvagni is thinking about leaving the club. And, you know.
It's also just tampering. You're messing with a player that's not yours.
And it's what Mitchell caught a lot of flack for at the time, right?
So now Craig McRae isn't because he's Collingwood and they're protected species.
You always go back to this protected species thing. Yeah.
Always. Like producer, he's behind the screen. Protected species.
I love the strays we can throw it. The unfortunate part is that he has the final edit.
Not on my watch.
Not on my. What's he going to say? I feel like, yeah, you got some eyes. I'm very worried as to where this is going to go. He just probably stopped the recording. We're chatting to ourselves. That says it all. He wants to get past this.
Hawks win. That's the first game. Hawks win.
Oh, man. Just to really get on his nerves. Yeah. Oh, man. That'll make me so happy.
You just hear my mic get muted.
I am actually interested to see how this game goes, though, because it's Hawks team that did pretty all right.
They were up
Adelaide.
for the fight.
Absolutely up for the fight. I think if the Hawks can bring that, they could be as competitive, if not clip the Pies here. Mm-hmm. It's just up to that forward line.
To me, it's no Will Day, no Hawthorn.
That is true as well.
I dare say they won't go with the 4 tools simply because it wouldn't work. Who they go out with, I don't know. That's up to Sam Mitchell. I just don't see them being able to do it.
Yeah, it's also the fact that even without Will Day, the matchups still just aren't in their favour.
Yeah.
I think in terms of the back line without Jeremy Howe, they still have what it takes to stop a forward line that, and on their best day, can absolutely smash it.
Yeah.
Right? Ginnivan played pretty well against Adelaide and was a reason they stayed in it. Watson had some pretty big moments, but still a little quiet here and there. And then you're thinking your tools. Gunston was their obvious standout. Chol kicked one and he'd come back to provide a bit of spark. But it still feels like Darcy Moore, if he can get the troops running on the same page, can bring him back to life. Bruz, he's still that wrecking ball we all know him to be. Isaac Quainer is still that smart bloke in the back. And then, of course, they've got those ball users on the half-back line who can always get them out of trouble. I think the matchups suit Collingwood almost on every level. I think on every level. So I'm going to go Collingwood win this one by 30.
I agree that Collingwood win. I don't know the margin, though, because Hawthorn now just seem like they're not necessarily like snowballing down, but they're on the downfall.
Yeah.
Because, Will Day's just been injured. They're messing around with their lineups when they probably shouldn't be. And they've just, all the talk is about them potentially missing finals. Just seems like a lot coming out of the club at the moment now is a bit negative when what we've seen previously is a lot of positive and all the social media stuff. It's all been, we're such a bright and positive club. It's not that at the moment. I just think the Pies are a bit more comfortable at the moment to be up the tip. So I'll go Pies. I'm not going to go in a smashing, but I'll go in mid-20s.
Mid-20s, okay.
Yeah.
My final question on that game, just very quickly. Who plays on Jamie Elliott?
Blake Hardwick.
Good
matchup.
Okay.
Matchup.
Cool. Easy. I just couldn't think for the life of me who would be on him because I'm thinking like Barras obviously wouldn't. No. And then you look, Sicily definitely wouldn't.
They tried Battle earlier in the year and he gave up 6 direct goals from his play.
Yeah, so it wouldn't be Battle.
Not going to be Battle.
Yeah. We'll move on though now. Cats versus Bombers. We talked about this game for the complete reason of Jeremy Cameron.
85.
85? Are they all from Jeremy Cameron?
I hope the margin is Jeremy Cameron.
That'd be so good.
Like you take Jeremy Cameron out and it is.
We know who's going to win.
Yeah.
Who wins between the Bombers and Jeremy Cameron?
Oh, Jezza. It'll be like 143 to, let's say, 39. 104 points.
I think it'll be a big score on the Cats' end. I just don't think it's going to be a close game. Sorry, of course it won't be a close game. I don't think they're not going to stop them from getting over 50 at least. I think Essendon can get past that mark. I think most of their talent sits in the forward line, anyways. So all they need is a clearance out of the midfield, and they'll get the occasional.
They struggled to get 50 against Sydney. They're not going to get 50 against Geelong.
I mean, yeah, that is also a good shout.
Cats by how much?
I'm going to go Cats by 70.
Bit tame.
I was thinking 90, but I'm like, every time I say that, it just, never gets there. Tigers versus Saints. This is a potential for 3 on the trot here.
Please don't be.
And an absolute calamity, I think, for you guys.
Naz 3 votes. That's all I want to say.
You really are on this Naz Brownlow train, aren't you? You're a flog, you are.
Hey. Hey.
I don't see it happening. Sure, he could get 9 votes in 3 rounds. Absolutely. But they've got to win more. I think it's just purely on they haven't won enough. They're not going to get enough.
Yeah, he could have 5 straight games where he polls 3 votes.
5 straight.
Yep.
So these 3 and 2 more? Or previous round plus these 3?
Previous rounds plus these 3. North, these 2, and then the last 2 before that.
Okay.
He could very easily have 15 votes in those 5 games.
Very easily, he says.
Very easily.
I am going to say the Saints take it.
Saints by 42.
I think it's pretty... I wouldn't say it's pretty safe to say because...
Far from safe.
Tigers could just outgrit them.
Yes, please do.
But then Naz doesn't get his 3 votes.
No, but he still could.
I'm going to go Saints win this one by 30.
Yeah, fairs.
Saturday, twilight game. Lions versus the Swans. This is another one that should be pretty easy to tell at the Gabba.
Yep.
Is there any outs that we can think of?
No, nothing really is going to change.
Out of the usual, at least. If that's the case, then I just see this being a really easy Lions 40+ win.
I'm going Lions by 33. I just think they're in really good form, and nothing really aside from that one Suns game is going to knock them off too much.
Yeah, that's true. The Suns game is probably the only thing. I mean, if teams are smart, they're going to look through what beat them, and I think it'll just be, pitch it through the middle and then out through and then hit it long. But, I mean, it's so hard to really tell. Yeah, my analysis is fantastic.
Pitch it through the middle.
Yeah, pitch it straight through the middle. No, I'm saying as in, like, kick from the wings.
You
and
don't
then
need to
straight through the
explain it.
middle.
It's okay.
There's ways of attacking them, all right? I think
No.
there's ways to do it.
I'm
and the
joking.
Suns managed to do it.
Yeah.
But Lions 40. Blues versus Suns at the Marvel Stadium.
Danger game.
Could be a
Potentially.
danger game, yeah.
Could be.
They nearly pipped Fremantle, so
Yep.
I can see it being a danger game for the Suns. God, would it be annoying if they lost. Oh, my God. I think they're still 2 games clear because
They're a game clear of the Bulldogs, but they do also have that extra game in hand.
You always have to bring up that extra game in hand when you're talking about the Suns because, it's basically a free win at this point. They should be so glad that game got cancelled because now it is basically a guaranteed win unless Essendon just pull something out.
I don't think they get anyone back, to be honest, so I don't think they could,
Yeah,
even if they wanted to.
yeah, exactly.
Even if I tried.
But
Even if
Gold
I
Coast
wanted
are
to.
going to take this one by 20.
Thank you for acknowledging that.
Yeah, I am. I just don't want to hear you. I'm sick of your voice now. We get to the hour point of the podcast. I don't want to hear it, mate. Just stop talking. I can't be bothered. I'm going Suns by 20. What are you going? Yeah, I'll take it. 21. Port versus Dockers. All right, I'll make this a solo podcast now because I'm sick of hearing your voice. Port versus the Dockers. Wait, no, that'll just turn it into a schizo edit. Never mind. Start talking. Your turn. Your turn. Your turn. Your turn. Say something. Oh, my God. You got the fat kid laugh going. I hate it.
You're done.
Yeah.
You're done, bro.
Port versus Dockers. At Adelaide Oval, is there a threat here?
I don't know. This is a really weird game because Fremantle are in great form and Port are completely injured, so Dockers should absolutely smash them.
What?
Smash them.
Smite them. Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't heard you use the word smite before.
I'm not smart.
Yeah. You didn't need to say it out loud, mate. You're just confirming what we already thought.
Thanks, bro.
Dockers, I think, are going to take this one. I think it's going to be a 15-point game, though.
Ooh, close.
Hopefully they get Rosie back. I don't know if it's a major injury. I think because he's a late out, it could be a minor injury that they're just holding off for an extra week.
Port have nothing to play in this, so I just don't see them having the edge that Hinkley likes to use.
I guess so. I just hate that Hinkley seems to be going out on such a whimper.
I'll go Dockers by 48. I just think that they're too talented, even without Hayden Young, to get this done over the Port.
Yeah, fair enough. They do have a 2-time Brownlow medalist potentially coming in.
True.
No longer in his prime, though, so we'll see how that turns out. Love you, Nat. Love you, Nat. Got the Giants versus the Roos now. Oh. I am really not looking forward to this game.
You should.
The orange tsunami is going to absolutely wreck us. It is going to kill us. I just think as to how we always struggle defensively. And I'm like, if there is a team to kill us for poor defensive structure, it's the Giants.
Giants by 60, is that too crazy to say?
No.
You've got nothing.
No.
You've literally got nothing.
I think we could kick 80 ourselves and they'd still win by 50.
Yeah, fair.
Because I just don't think we have enough defensively to stop these guys. And to stop them doing what they want. I'm trying to think. Josh Kelly, Toby Green comes back.
Toby Green comes back. Kelly won't. Buckley,
Kelly
I
won't.
don't know about.
I don't know about Buckley, but I know that Toby Green's back. So that just means more offensive threat for the Giants, realistically. I think this is going to be a 60-point win for the Giants. Yeah.
Agreed. There's just, you guys suck.
My big call is that Giants will kick 140 points. I think that's genuinely on the cards. Dees versus the Bulldogs now at the MCG. What could the crowd consist of for this one?
12?
12K? We had 30K at the North Saints one.
Yeah, because Naz.
Naz. Yeah. How many was it in the week before? You did also play Melbourne.
22, maybe?
I don't know how North are pulling out 30K performances.
It wasn't your home game, blood.
Yeah, but it's still in our home stadium. Don't you dare say it's Ninja. I'll kill you.
It is Ninja.
It's not Ninja Stadium.
No, you're right. It's Bunbury over in WA.
No, God. That's never going to be lived down. That's
Nope.
forever going to be around. The Dogs should take this comfortably. They have a habit of smashing teams.
They also do have a
outside of the
habit of losing when they need to win.
No, that is a good point. I keep forgetting
The West
Dogs
Coast game.
love
the West Coast
doing
game.
this. They
the
love
West Coast
doing
game.
it.
The West Coast game.
And the Dees have had outside of one quarter, realistically. They have played good football.
Agreed.
This is a potential danger.
D's by 11.
Oh, man. If the Dogs
Max
did it
Gawn
again.
tears them from limb to limb.
Here's the thing. I don't think it stops them from making finals because Hawthorn do have another tough team in Brisbane to play.
Yep.
But Brisbane would be their only potential spot then. They have to be perfect from then on. And sure, they'd only have 2 weeks to be perfect for, but you don't want to have that type of every game being an elimination game from that point. That's gonna play on their minds 100%. So for the Dogs' sake, they better win this. I'm gonna go Dogs. I just think they love to bash young and down teams at the moment. I think I'm gonna say by 40. But if they really because my thinking is they don't have Stephen May, they don't have Jake Lever. Who the hell is stopping Sam Darcy and Aaron Norton at the moment?
Yep.
So we'll see how that turns out. I'm going to go 40 for the Dogs.
Fair. How bad does this one get?
Ooh, Optus Stadium doesn't mean anything really, but this could be a lot of fun.
120. I've just spared.
That sounded like a lot of digits.
Yeah, 120, 120, 120, 120.
Yeah, fair enough.
On and on.
120. Yeah, I'm going to go 100. I'm going to go 100.
Yeah.
I think the Eagles have it in them to win by... No, I'm going to go Crows by 100. I don't think there's much that needs to be said outside of that. Who kicks the most goals for Adelaide?
I think this is a Tex Walker masterclass.
Oh, definitely.
Unless he gets
feeling with that
rested. I reckon he gets rested, actually. Thilthorpe kicks
That's
7.
a good... Yeah, he could get rested, couldn't he? And it won't be Fogarty. I don't think it'll be Fogarty. Thilthorpe 7, Rankin 4.
Nice.
Beautiful. That is episode number 24 of Zero Access Footy.
Yippee.
We have absolutely put in a shift today and done some good research. I feel like we've done really good with our research this week. What do you mean, no? Well, considering you didn't even know Toby Nankervis was inside the square or inside the circle when he was doing his ruck and hit the arm.
Anyway, thank you all for watching Zero Access Footy.
I really, really like the research you put into your clips.
Make sure to like and subscribe. Rate us 5 stars on all podcast platforms and listener platforms. Spotify, all the
You're
others
not used to doing
that
this,
I don't know.
Cook, bro, cook.
Amazon and Hearts, yeah. I know no one listens to them, so it doesn't matter. Bye.
Yes! Yes!